What's up, YouTube fam? It's your girl Atika Shay back with another video. If you are new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bells for notifications from your girl. Alright, y'all. So, as you can see, I am looking better and feeling better. If you've seen my last video, which was my 32-week update, then you would know that I was looking a little rough, okay? But I look a little better. But y'all, your girl got to spill some tea today because a lot has happened. Literally, I made that video last Friday, and that same day, and today's Monday. So from there to now, a lot has happened. So let's roll into it. Okay, so before we get into this video, let's just appreciate that the sun is hitting. Okay, but anyways, back to what I was saying, y'all. Okay, so that Friday, right after I made that video, I really was not feeling well. I came back to Bae's house, and I don't know, like, for a minute I was alright, and then I just was like, you know, I'm just gonna get in the shower, and because Bae was, like, doing her crib and stuff, like, he revamped it or whatever. I'll show y'all that before the video is over, but I was just like, you know, I don't know, my body started feeling weak and weaker, so I was like, I'm just gonna get in the shower, see if that helps or whatever. So I took a shower, didn't really do anything, so then I went and laid down. Then all of a sudden, I just started feeling, like, really hot. But then I was, like, freezing cold. Like, I was, to the touch of my, like, when you touch my body, I was burning up. But me, I was so freaking cold. Like, I had to have blankets on me. So, yeah. So, then, I was just, like, shaking. Then he checked my heart rate, and it was up. And I was just like, so then we were, like, calling everybody. I was calling my mom. He had called his brother and his wife. We was just, like, calling. And we was like, oh, yeah, basically, like, should we go to the hospital? Whatever. So we ended up getting confirmed, like, yeah, y'all need to go to the hospital. Like, and then, on top of that, it started snowing. So it was just, like, a lot. So, anyways, we went to the hospital, and it wasn't my normal hospital, like the one that I was gonna deliver at. It wasn't that one. It was another one. But we're gonna talk about that too as well, because oh my gosh. So yeah, so we ended up getting there, and you know, they admitted me into the hospital, and I was gonna record, guys, but it was like so much happening, and I just forgot. So I came in there and I told him, I was like, I was having a really bad, severe headache, like really bad headache, and my back was hurting really bad. So that's originally what I came in for, to tell him, like, yeah, I'm having a severe headache, really bad back pains, and I'm like, I didn't have no fever, but my body was burning up, but I was freezing, if that makes any type of sense, right? So I told them all this information, and the first thing they asked, like any other doctor would ask when you say you have a headache, is sorry y'all, it's a piece of lint that was bothering me. Have you taken Tylenol? Because you know that's the only thing that pregnant females can take, as far as in, like, unless the doctor did not prescribe. That's the only type of over-counter medicine that you can take, as far as in pregnant females. So I was like, yeah, I take Tylenol, and it's literally be the 500 milligrams, and I be taking 2 of those, and it don't work for me. Tylenol just does not work for me at all, so I hate taking it. It doesn't work for me even if I'm not pregnant. Like, it just doesn't work for me. I usually take, like, ibuprofen or whatever, but I know I can't take ibuprofen while pregnant, so I've been trying to take the Tylenol, and it just does not work. So she was like, okay, so what we're going to do is give you a Percocet. I didn't know that you can take Percocets while pregnant, but I guess, hey, you can. So she gave me one, and she's like, if you need another one, If your headache, you know, still don't go away, if you need another one, just call, press a little button, call, and we'll give you another one. But you can only take it within 4 hours. I mean, you could take it every 4 hours. So me being on that Percocet, that's kind of why I really forgot to start recording, because I've never taken a Percocet, and baby, I was out like a light, okay? I was out. So during that time of me sleeping, I don't even know how long I was asleep. I just know I was asleep for a minute. But I woke back up, and she ended up coming back in, and she was like, so, because they did urine, they took the urine sample or whatever, did blood work and all that, gave me an IV, pumped me in with some fluids. She came back in, and she was like, we're going to keep you overnight. Like, I just woke up, and I'm still a little woozy. So I'm like, keep me overnight for a headache? Like, it's really that bad? I mean, it's severe, and I knew it was, like, really bad, but, like, I don't know. She was like, yeah, we're going to keep you overnight, because I had already met the doctor before I took the perk and everything, and he was just going over. He even prescribed me with some medication. It's called, starts with a V. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it works really well. But, yeah, so she was like, I don't know if while you was asleep, it was happening, and I don't think you felt it. And I was like, felt what? She was like, you were having contractions, and they were 4 minutes apart. I said, excuse me. And no, I was not feeling that. I was not feeling no contractions at all. Now, before we went to the hospital, I mean, I was feeling like what I thought was Braxton Hicks, but I guess there was contractions. So, I was like, oh, for real? And she's like, yeah, they're 4 minutes apart, so we're going to keep you overnight to observe you. And so they moved me to another room, which was the observation room, to watch me and watch the baby and stuff. I mean, sorry, y'all. Baby doing all this stuff, and but they had no worries about baby girl. They was fine with her. It was really just me and then the contractions and stuff, right? And stuff, and she was just like, so we're gonna, since we seen your contractions was coming like that, we're gonna check your cervix. So I was like, okay. They checked my cervix and was like, yeah, so you're 1 centimeter dilated. To everybody, that's nothing, and it's 1 centimeter. It could take a while before I even dilate again. Who knows? But at that time, I was 32 weeks and 5 days when I went into the hospital. So that was Friday, January 21st. So when I went in or whatever. And I went in at 9 p.m. No, 10 p.m. I'm sorry. 10 p.m. is when I went in. And they did all of that. And I was still 32 weeks and 5 days. And they said I was 1 centimeter. I feel like that's a little too early to even start dilating. Me personally. I rather would have wanted to hear like, oh yeah, you're dilated at like 35 weeks or whatever like that, because now it's like I could dilate in 2 weeks, and who knows if I'm gonna be only still 1 centimeter, or I can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, you never know. It just really depends on the female body. So it was, she was just like, yep, you're 1 centimeter dilated, whatever, boom. So I'm just like, oh wow, and my contractions are what, 4 minutes apart? Oh, cool. So the Percocet started wearing off, and my headache was like coming back really bad. So it woke me back up. Like the headache woke me up very bad. The headache was very bad that it woke me up, and it was like 4 something in the morning. And I pressed the button, and I was like, yeah, I need another one. Sorry. So then I ended up falling right back to sleep, or whatever. And we ended up getting discharged from the hospital at 7:30 because my contractions slowed down. So we ended up leaving January 22nd at 7:30 in the morning is when we got discharged. We came back to Bae's house, and I was just feeling really weak. My body was just feeling really weak. So I was like sleep all that day, most of just about. But my headache was like severe, and my back was hurting so bad. Like I just couldn't. And then I couldn't keep nothing down. Like, I couldn't really eat. The only thing that I could keep down was fruit. So I was eating on grapes and oranges all day. So yeah. So then it was like it's still that Saturday, and I was 32 weeks and 6 days that Saturday, January 22nd. And we was going back to my house because I was like, I really want to start preparing for the baby, so I'm gonna just try and fight through this. And we need to go to my house and, like, you know, start arranging around things or whatever. So on the way to my house, and babe lives like 25 minutes from me. So on the way from his house going to my house, I was just like having the worst contractions. I started timing them, and they were first they was like 7 minutes apart. Then it was like 2 minutes apart. Then 1 minute apart. And then it was just ranging from 1 minute. Alright, y'all. So yeah, so I forgot where I was at. My mom called me and I forgot where I was at. Oh, okay. So yeah, so my contractions was coming back like it was like every 1 to 3 minutes. So I was like, you know, I can't take this anymore, you know. I was trying to thug it out, but I could not. So we went back to the hospital. And I'm sorry. Yeah, this is like really bugging me. We went back to the hospital, and it just like we went all the way back to my house, and we had to come back all the way back. And the hospital from my house was like 30 minutes. Y'all, we was on a mission, okay? So we get to the hospital, and we had to explain to them, like, yeah, I just came from this hospital this morning, and yet again, I'm back. So we go back. They put me back in a room, and I'm telling them, like, I'm having contractions, and it's coming every 1 to 3 minutes, and I'm only 32 weeks and 6 days. And I thought I was just in here, literally, last night, and I just got out this morning at 7:30 or whatever. So we going to the room, and like as soon as we got in the room, I started having one, and she's like, "Are you having a contraction right now?" I wanted to look at her and be like, "No, I'm just, you know, in pain with a contraction." I was like, yes, I'm having a contraction right now. She's like, "You mind if I touch it and feel it?" Sure. So she's like, you know, like grabbing on my stomach, not grabbing, but like she's doing this, y'all. She's doing this, like trying to feel it, and she's like, and I'm guessing she was trying to feel the tightness, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you're definitely having a contraction. Okay, let's hurry up and get you on the monitors, whatever." So they get me on the monitors, and y'all, this is where my attitude kind of came out, because it was a nurse. First of all, it was 3 different nurses in my room. One was putting on the monitors. The other one was trying to ask me all these questions. And then there was another one that was on the monitor. Sorry, y'all. My boyfriend, he's distracting me. There was another one that was on the monitors and was trying to do whatever she was doing. So the one that was asking me all the questions was kind of irritating me because, mind you, when you're having contractions, you don't want nobody to talk to you. You don't want to be bothered or whatever. And that's kind of how I felt. But I'm like, at the same time, I know, like, I have to answer these questions or answer whatever they need me to answer. So I'm going to just talk through it, and I'm going to try my best. So she was asking me. So her first thing was, it was just her whole demeanor of how she just came off. Like, she came in there, she's like, so, you know, if you deliver at the weeks that you're at, your baby's going straight to NICU. Nobody was saying anything about delivery, for one. For two, then she was like, okay, so why are you here? And I'm like, well, I was having contractions, and they was coming back every 1 to 3 minutes. And so then she was like, well, you know, it's not good to deliver, because how many weeks are you? I was like, 32 weeks, 6 days. Technically, we're just going to say 33 weeks, because I turned 33 weeks yesterday. So I was like, 33 weeks. Well, it's not good to deliver at those weeks. Your baby's just going to go straight to NICU, and it could be for months. Like, lady, I didn't come in here saying, I need to deliver my baby right now. Like, I can't do this. My contractions, I didn't come in here and say that. I just said, I'm having contractions, and they are coming every 1 to 3 minutes. So that right there kind of threw me off, because it's like, you already have this, like, mindset of delivering and not trying to deliver, when I never clearly came out my mouth and said, I need you to deliver today. I never said that. I never even said anything about delivering. So that was one thing that was like kind of pissing me off. So then the next thing was, she was trying to get because I said I was in here. I came in here at 10 o'clock p.m. January 21st, and they just released me this morning at 7:30. And she said, okay, well, why did you come in here? And I said, I really originally just came for a severe headache and severe back pain. And then they ended up telling me, like, oh, you're having contractions and they're coming every 4 minutes, so we're going to have to keep you overnight and blah, 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 and all that. So she's like, I'm just trying to understand your story. So they kept you because you were having contractions. And then what else did they say? And I was like, okay, so they was saying how, like, they was going to give me a steroid shots. And then they was educating as far as, because I personally asked, I said, so what happens, like, when women typically deliver, if they do have to deliver this early, what would happen? Like, what is the outcome of what may happen? Now let's pause right there, because throughout this whole pregnancy, I've watched other YouTubers film their pregnancy journeys and stuff. I've even typed in giving labor and having labor and delivery at where my weeks are, so 33 weeks or 30 weeks, 31 weeks, whatever you want to say. And I see, like, most of these babies, yes, they do go to NICU. In fact, if they're born that early, they do go to NICU. But most of the time, these babies are strong. Like, they may need, like, a few attention, and it's definitely mostly only regarding the breathing. I've seen a YouTuber who had a child at 33. It was 33 weeks she had her baby, and the baby was perfectly fine. And they was just like, oh, she's breathing on her own, but we're still giving her some support. She just needed a little support. That was it. And that right there is nothing but God. Like, that was, like, you know, that's nothing but God. You have all these doctors and nurses and stuff that want to say this and say that. But as long as you got faith, y'all, that's all you need, okay? But I'm not going to go into the preaching mode. But just keep that in the back of y'all mental, okay? So, yeah. So, she was just trying to understand the story or whatever. And then she's like, well, why would they discharge you if you was having contractions? I don't get it. I'm just trying to understand your story. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I said, I only came in here that day for my headache. They gave me a Percocet because I couldn't take the Tylenol, because Tylenol just doesn't work for me. So Tylenol doesn't work for you while you're pregnant or at all? I'm like, at all. Like, I don't like how you're coming off, lady. And I can spice right back, right? So, mind you, I'm still having these contractions, and she's just really ticking me off. So, that was number 2. Because I just felt like everything I was saying, if it didn't make sense to her, or she didn't like what I was saying, it's like she just wasn't believing me, right? So, I had my mom and my boyfriend with me or whatever. And my mom was in the room when she was in there at the time, because you can only have one person in the room until the doctor comes in and speak. Once the doctor leaves, then you can have 2 people in the room with you. So then she was just like, I guess she can tell, like, I was getting irritated with her. So she was like, I'm not trying to upset you or anything, but I'm a mom, and I was just trying to figure out, like, why weren't you asking these questions? And I'm like, well, I was on perk, and I was still woozy. I was like, it came across my mind, but it didn't really come across my mind. Like, I just was a little out of it. Then she was trying to blame the nurse, and I'm like, no, like, you know, that nurse was actually a good nurse. I'd rather have her than you standing in my face right now, you know? So then she was just like, okay, let me just get your story straight. So you came in here for just a headache and a back pains. Then they gave you a Percocet. And I was like, yep, 2 of them. In a 4-hour span of each other. And she's like, okay. Then you were told that you was going to get steroids and all this and that. And then she was like, they never told you that if you deliver, you had to go to NICU, the baby had to go to NICU? I said no, because nobody was even talking about delivering. And then she was like, so never. They never said anything about your baby going to NICU. I said no. Like, we was never talking about delivering. Like, so I don't understand what's in your mind. Like, it's like she had made up in her mind, said that I came in there wanting to deliver, and I did not. That's the last thing I wanted. So now I was like, they checked my cervix, and they said I was 1 centimeter dilated. And she's like, well, I'm going to tell you right now, like, if you're not dilating anymore, or you're not bleeding, having no vaginal bleeding, then they're just going to send you right back home. And I'm like, okay. So she's like, I'm going to check you just to see. So she checked me, and there was like 2 other nurses that came back in there. She checked me, and she's like, yeah, you're still 1 centimeter. And it was like, did she dilate? She was like, no, just 1 centimeter is nothing. Like, you just brushed it off like that. Like, I understand that sometimes 1 centimeter are, like, a dilation is a dilation. Whether it's 1 centimeter, whether it's 7 centimeters, it's still a dilation, okay? Like, don't just brush it off, because, like I said, every female body is not the same. So I can be 1 centimeter 5 days ago and be freaking 4 centimeters like tomorrow. Like, you know, so like, don't just brush it off like it's nothing. I feel like it was just, that's how that she was coming off. So she took the notes or whatever. She's like, well, I'm gonna go talk to the doctor, and I'm gonna come right back in. So I'm like, whatever. Okay. That was with me overnight, when I stayed overnight, which I freaking adore her. Like, she was my favorite one. So I was explaining to her, like, what the nursing stuff, like, what she was saying or whatever. But I'm glad I had her, because she already knew what was going on. And she was the one that told me, like, you know, if I start to feel worse or whatever, to just come back. And that's exactly what I did. And she was like, you was right for doing that. And then she was like, you can see the contractions. Because the other nurse was like, oh, you're not even having contractions. I can't really see them. Or I can't see them. But then it's funny when you walked out, like, the other nurse came in, she could see every last one of them. So then, the doctor ended up coming in. I ended up talking to him or whatever. So they had me do a 24-hour urine collection. And they did some blood work. And they gave me my first dose of steroids in case I was to go into labor early. The steroid is, you know, for the baby lungs, to help develop and be strong. Just like, so if she does come out early, the lungs are more prepared, you know. So, yeah, so they gave me that first one, and I did not know that you were supposed to get the steroids and the Botox. Yes, I had to get a steroid in my buttocks. I had to get a shot in there, and that crap was stinking. But yeah, so they did that. I had the option of either staying overnight at the hospital again and doing the 24 urine or whatever, or going home and coming back. I ended up going home and coming back because those beds was not it. So so I came back. I went back yesterday. I had to go back around 8:30 p.m. because that's when I started my urine at the hospital, and it was 8:30 p.m. and that was on January 22nd. So when I started, so I went back to the hospital yesterday to turn in my urine collection, and that was January 23rd. Come back in, turn this, whatever, boom, boom, boom. They put me in a room. They put the monitors on me. They wanted to make sure I had to stay there and make sure that the baby was hooked up, and they wanted to listen to her for a good 20 minutes. She was perfectly fine. Heart rate was a little low because she's usually between like 150 between 150 160 or whatever, 170. But it was like she was at 130, 140. I guess it was like everything was like my body's like was stressing her out or something, and she was just mellow. But it's never been that low throughout my whole pregnancy. But I know when I had them contractions, her thing went all the way to 194. I was like, oh yes, ooh, I know, honey, cause mommy is feeling the pain too, baby. So yeah, but anyways, so while I was on the monitors, they was checking my urine or whatever. She came back, and this is the news I did not want to hear, y'all. This is not what I want to hear. So she came back, and she said, so your urine results came back in, and your urine was elevated. And I said, what does that mean? And she said, so you have to be, your urine sample, like when you do 24-hour collection, it's supposed to be 300 milligrams or under. She said yours was at a 450. And I said, okay, so what's that mean? She said, pre-eclampsia, call your doctor ASAP and get a appointment ASAP. And I was like, well, that's perfect because I already have an appointment with my OB today. So, and my appointment's at 2:20. So yeah, so I was like, I already have an appointment with them today or whatever. And she was like, okay, well, explain to them everything that happened this past weekend. Explain to them definitely about this preeclampsia, because now you have to be monitored very closely. And I kind of, in the back of my head, I already knew. I felt like I was going to have preeclampsia again because I would have preeclampsia with my son. And the way my body just is starting to, like, I feel like my body is just starting to shut down as far as in, like, giving up with being pregnant. And I gave birth to my son at 37 weeks. I will be 37 weeks in 4 weeks. And it's just so much because, like, for one, we had to push back my baby shower due to a snowstorm. And my baby shower originally was supposed to be January 22nd. But, you see, I had to go to the hospital because I wasn't feeling well. So we had to push it back to February 12th. And hopefully I make it. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, hopefully I make it. Because I just feel like my body is, like, trying to, like, it's already used of not going all the way full term. So now it's just trying to last till, I guess, 37 weeks. Or I'm hoping that's when it can last. Excuse me. And, yeah, so it's a lot, y'all. Like, pregnancy is a toll on your body. It's a beautiful thing, but it can be a toll. And I'm like, these last couple of weeks, I literally only have 7 weeks to be full term. And I feel like I know I'm not going to make it full term. So now me and Biz we're going to go to my doctor appointment. We're going to go see, like, what is up. I'm going to explain everything to them. Because I honestly, let me rant about this doctor's office really quick. I'm not going to be long-winded with it, but I'm going to give y'all so I don't know if y'all doctor's appointment, if y'all like y'all doctors or wherever you go. Some people may not like theirs. Some people may do. At first, they was all right with me. Okay, mine was all right with me. But then it started getting to the point where I started telling them I'm having these headaches like back to back to back. And I've never had no bad headache. I don't even know what a migraine feels like because I've never had a migraine. But I'm going to just assume that a migraine feels how my head was feeling, which was very severe, and my ears was ringing. I'm going to assume that's how a migraine feels. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But that's how I was feeling. And it was just hurting so bad, and all they could say was take Tylenol. Or go to the hospital. I go to the hospital, they see nothing. How is it that I went to a whole completely new, different hospital, never been there, they had nothing, they didn't know anything about my, like, first pregnancy history or none of that. They had to literally pull all that stuff up and none of the background or nothing. And then within 3 days, they ran all these tests and all that and figured out I had preeclampsia. And you mean to tell me I've been telling my doctor and the hospital that I was supposed to be delivering at all this and y'all couldn't find anything at all? And it just sucks because it's like, I don't like going off on people, but I did end up, like, kind of going off on them, saying, like, I just feel like y'all are brushing me off. Like, I'm sitting here telling y'all there's something wrong, and just because I'm pregnant, every symptom is not like, you can tell them, like, oh my gosh, my back is hurting. Oh, that's just a part of pregnancy. My head is hurting. That's just a part of pregnancy. My knees are hurting. That's just a part. Everything is not just, like, everything doesn't happen just because of pregnancy. Like, God dang, like, oh my gosh, like, I may know, like, headaches and back pains is part of pregnancy, but when it gets to the point where you're waking up out your sleep, or you're crying constantly, or the crap is pounding so bad that it's going to your ears and it's ringing, that is not a good sign, okay? Those are not good signs. And when I had preeclampsia with my son, I didn't have none of this. I didn't have no bad back pains, no bad headaches, no none of that. I had the high blood pressure, and I had gestational diabetes. Now, with this pregnancy, I don't have gestational diabetes, and I haven't had high blood pressure. I haven't had high blood pressure. I didn't have high blood pressure with my son until the day, which when I was 37 weeks, I went into the hospital. And that's when they found out, like, that's when I found out I had the high blood pressure. And that's when they immediately was like, okay, we gotta induce you or whatever. But my blood pressure has been mellow or been fine this whole time. But it's the severe headaches and the severe back pains that I'm having. And I found out, I found out that those are symptoms of preeclampsia. Hello, I've been trying to tell y'all that, like, oh my gosh, just because y'all don't see protein in my urine, and I don't think, I mean, they probably did see protein in my urine when I was pregnant with my son, but they didn't tell me that. And if they didn't tell me that, I guess because they didn't. But it's like, how is it that they collected it for 24 hours, and you mean to tell me that you guys didn't see anything? So, today, when I go to my doctor's office, I'm going to carry you guys with me. I'm not supposed to record in the doctor, but we're going to try and work around that. But I am going to tell them exactly how I feel. Like, I'm going to tell them exactly what happened. And I'm going to be like, you know, I just feel like you guys brushed me off. Like, because 3 days and they found all of that. And you mean to tell me, like, y'all didn't find nothing? It just doesn't make sense, you know? And I'm just not trying to be that person, that pregnant, irritable female, but call it what you want. But I am gonna be alive to see my baby girl. I don't care what you say. I'm not about to, I'm gonna be alive, my baby gonna be alive, and we're gonna be alright. Because this whole pregnancy, all I've ever heard was, your baby is doing fine. Your levels are doing fine. But now that you're telling me I have preeclampsia, that's very serious to me. And I'm not taking it lightly, okay? I am not. I'm up here with it. You can't even see my hand off camera, okay? But that's how high I am with it. So, it's all up and stuck for me. Up and stuck. Up and stuck. So, I know I've been rambling, y'all, but I just had to vent. Like, you know, I had to come up here and I had to really, really give y'all an update. This literally happened all within 3 days, and it's just really crazy. So, I'm basically just going to carry y'all along through the rest of today, and y'all going to see what I've been dealing with. Hopefully, they act right at this doctor. I feel like sometimes when you want to, like, tell somebody what's going on, like, they don't see what you be seeing, because it's like, it just so happens like that now they want to act right all of a sudden. But it's whatever. But I'm gonna carry you guys along today, and I'm just show you guys, you know, how everything is. So just bear with me. So I'll be back, guys. All right, y'all, so this is the bed that babe did. So at first it was my son's bed, and it was gray. But what he did is he painted it, because when we move into our house, this is the color of her room. Don't mind that. Her theme, that's not her theme. But this is the color that we're gonna have in her room. So yeah, he repainted it and everything. It looks brand spanking new too. And there was nothing wrong with it before. My son just didn't sleep in it, and so he never really used it. So he just repainted it. I like it. I really do. But alright, y'all, so I see y'all in a